welcome back. Fluff and I are here. It's been an extended little break, and we have a lot to talk about. Fluff's been on the road, out with the band for a little bit with his wife, Jennifer, and I haven't, so we've got some catching up to do. And with that, Fluff, what's on your mind, buddy?
Oh
Oh, yeah,
man, we have
episode 6, by the way.
episode
Woo.
six, love it. We have so much to talk about today. The waiting game tour that started about 3 weeks ago, caught a few shows on that. Gonna talk a little bit about what happened in Colorado. We're gonna talk about the Iowa show that blew everybody out of the water. There's been some more dates announced. There's the New Year's run. Jake's going to Hawaii. There's even a few new Eggy accounts out there that look to be either semi-official or official band type related accounts that I want to let everyone know about. So stay tuned for that, for
Hmm.
sure. So
Hmm.
yeah, lots to talk about. I think we should dive right into it.
Yeah, definitely. I
As we
mean,
talked about, the waiting game tour started on October 3rd, and they
I
were out
know.
west in Texas for a couple weeks, couple
Mm-hmm.
nights at Austin City Limits. Uh, None were televised, unfortunately. And then, as a friend of mine said, right around Santa Fe, New Mexico, maybe a couple nights before in Austin, tour really started, and they tore through Colorado. It was chaos in Colorado,
They love it
and
there, yeah.
they do. And then right after
Good.
that, as if that wasn't enough, there was insanity in Iowa, and even to follow that, there
Yeah.
was mayhem in Missouri. So it's been a heck of a couple weeks. Want to kind of dive back. I pulled some set lists to just refresh you and everyone on what just occurred,
Yeah,
because
I gotta say, being not being able to be on tour with them uh, had me kind of taking a degree of separation. Like I didn't want to know real time what was going on because the angst would have been too great. The not the fear of missing out, just the oh man, like I just have too much going on to get there, whatever, and all those thoughts you have about irrational decisions you want to make to maybe fly somewhere, something like that. But so I am behind because I purposely kind of let myself be arm's length for a little while, just so I wasn't like oh man, and then just recently in the past 3 or 4 days catching up. Yeah, wow. Wow, wow, wow. I'm still not even all the way through Meow Wolf. I'm not even all the way through the Iowa show yet. And so, whew.
Well, you got a lot of listening to do, and there was so much. I mean, I don't even want you to rush through it because I want you to
Uh,
take your time and really hear, because it's exactly when tour really went to a whole other level, and it's just stayed there. Yeah, so they did. You've had in the run of shows that included Santa Fe, the three in Colorado, Iowa, and St. Louis. So six shows, I believe we're talking about. Maybe stronger, more exciting, more than any other set of six shows I've seen come out of them since. Um, there's been five song debuts. There's been three acoustic encores. There's been happy birthday songs. Then there was the Iowa show, which had easily over a dozen teases in it. And I
right.
know I counted on the carton, there was only 18 noted, but there's more. And
Only
to the,
18.
yeah, and to the point, to the right, who would have thought? And there's still a couple more nights left. They're wrapping up the tour. You and I are going to catch the tour closer. It's kind of a thing we like to do when we can. They don't leave anything out
Well,
there.
cat's out of the bag, people. Cat's out
Cat's
of the
out of the
bag.
bag. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, by the time this goes to production,
that's true.
and by the
That's
time it
true.
gets out there, everyone's going to know you're going. But yeah, the five song debuts were Whoa There, which they debuted in Santa Fe, and they've played three or four, three times for sure already. Great, great tune.
Hmm.
Um, Asks another question. So for our whole thing about Eggy with the questions, the key kind of repeated line in Whoa There is, what is it about you? What is it about you? And I don't know, are they asking about us, or is it about, who knows? We can get into that
Definitely
at
a
a later
Socratic.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And then the next night in Buena Vista, we got another debut called Paper Bed. Um,
Hmm.
uh, kind of like a different, little bit like I don't even really know how to explain it. It's a really cool song though. So everybody make sure you go to the Buena Vista show and check that one out. The next night in Fort Collins was Mike Rothschild's birthday. So boy, did we have a party. I want to talk a
Well,
little bit about that. Yeah.
but like who is Mike Rothschild?
Who is Mike Rothschild? The judge, man. Didn't you get a
Right.
sticker? Oh, right. I have to send you your stickers. My bad.
Now, I'm asking for the people that might not know.
Ah, yes. Mike Rothschild
The
is,
band,
he's kind of the
band doesn't.
grandfather of Eggy. I don't know. What would you call him?
I mean, yeah, he's the judge, right? I
Yeah.
mean, the band doesn't sing "Happy Birthday" to just anybody.
No, that's
Well,
correct. That's
I probably
correct.
wish they could. I mean, there's a birthday at every show, I'm sure. I think Mike is probably one of the people that's most responsible for their proliferation, like on Sirius XM, right? Didn't he email them like every day for a year or something?
Hmm.
You he's
Hmm.
he's a core foundational fan, I guess you could say, right? By
No, that was
listening.
good. It's good to point that out because as much as you and I want to think that we try to push fandom as hard and as high as we can and represent as well as we can, above us always is Mr. Rothschild. There's no question. And that's just kind of the hierarchy. So but yeah, no, he's a great guy. We even got together before the show that night and had dinner. Had a couple other fans join us. It was a really good time. And then yes, the encore he got his Happy Birthday song, which they did acoustic. Mike had been dragging around the giant stand-up bass the whole tour and hadn't played it yet. He made that comment to us in Buena Vista the night before because we saw it. Like, when are you gonna bust that out? And he's like, well, I've been carrying it this whole time. I probably should. So I don't know. The next 3 nights after that featured acoustic encores that if you go back and listen, some of my favorite Eggy yet. And I'm a sucker for acoustic music. It is raw. It's alive. Like if electric music is machines, acoustic music is alive to me. So, but they did two more debuts that night. A song called "Looking at Life" and a song called "Thorns." If you go listen to "Looking at Life," bud, it's just yet another song. You and I would go, 30-year-old kids shouldn't be writing songs like this. These guys are way too insightful. They're way too ahead of their ages. They're really, really something. So I don't even know if you've gotten to that Fort Collins show at all yet, but when you do, pay special attention to
I
that
have
encore.
I've given everything that has new songs in it a quick run through,
Excellent,
you know.
excellent.
So yeah, but I can't speak to lyrics or anything yet so much except for "Whoa There," which I've heard a few times, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I heard him say somewhere along the line that they just have the writing bug, and that even though they just came out with a new album, it was written a long time ago, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Yep.
these songs, and so I don't think any of these songs would have been a good fit for Waiting Game. You know what I mean? That was they are the next evolution, kind of, I guess you could say, of what comes after an album like that. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you. So, I know you're a big guy when it comes to lists and right, like top fives and all that. But you've often mentioned in the past like recency bias or location bias where you were there. So it's interesting to hear you say like those shows were the best. And but you were there, so I'm like, I don't know, were they? I mean, but I because I haven't heard them, so I
Mhm.
certainly will take your word for it. And it only makes sense, like the math adds up, right? They've got their legs now more than ever. So I can't
I,
wait to really dive into them. I'm a little nervous because it's going to be so good. Does that make
they're
sense?
they're at a huge level right now, and I appreciate you putting that check out there because it's very fair. Recency bias is a real thing. Attendance bias is a real thing. And
Who's the best?
but when you've gotten to the number of Eggy shows that you and I
Yeah,
have gotten to, we personally stood in the room for some of the most transcendent experiences ever. Um,
truth.
we know when we're standing there again and it's happening again
Yeah.
versus am I just kind of hyping a show? And if I were to tell you that Buena Vista show was the best show of the run, I'd be hyping it because it wasn't. But there was wonderful, wonderful. They had a huge Remind Me. My wife loves that. It was like a 20 plus minute Remind Me. They crushed it. We had the debut. It was, I mean, Literally nothing you and I would ever complain about at an Eggy show. And then it just got better night after night. And I think another good measure is not what we think about it, but what they think about it. And you get those clues from what you hear them saying during the show, or for example, in Iowa when Jake comes out for the encore, it was something like, "Well, that was fun, wasn't it?" And it went on to say, "I have no idea what we played. Hopefully, someone was keeping track, and asked CJ if he had any idea."
I'm seeing, more and more comments like on Nugs, like reviews on shows and stuff where they didn't used to be. There's 5 or 6 for one of the recent ones, uh,
Yes,
right? And they're all, pumping it up. Uh, Seems rightfully so. So that Iowa show, the only thing that comes to mind that would song list wise, that just from memory, is the St. Patrick's Day show in 2022 in Ohio.
I'll give you another one that you were at, the
Yeah,
Maryland show with the encore. The Maryland
yeah,
show with
that
the that
was
it's
that was for me, man. That was the Oak Barrel Brewing Company or something. Like there was literally maybe 25 to 40 people there, and it was so freaking hot, and everybody was like in the perimeter of the shadows, and Donnie's brother Ben was there, and there was like this dirt area in front of the stage, and I just went out there and did the freaking boomer ballet for like 3 straight hours, literally, right? And Donnie had come out at set break and asked if we had any requests, and I probably told you this story. I said we got a rule. I don't ask Picasso, what to paint, but we haven't never heard a portable air scrubber live, and there you go. The rest is history.
yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, it was a good time. That
in
was a
case
piece.
anyone out there hasn't seen or listened to the Iowa show yet, I just want to kind of like put this one on tape here because this I think
Mm-hmm.
you and I have talked a lot about show of the year. We've hung on real hard to Oxford to this point, both of us. I know.
I can't believe
Uh,
that was in this year.
yeah, right, long one. But a Figure It Out opening, which I love that song. It's a fun way to start it.
Mm-hmm.
Rosie, which had
Ah,
doesn't get out enough, obviously.
one of my
And
faves.
then rocked into a shadow that was just kind of a precursor of things to come into One More Dance, and then your favorite, Barba Joggle. Barba, barba, barba. I got to
Robert
learn how to
Jungle.
say that, man. But here's the
Robert
thing. Here's the thing. They played it. There was 10 times the lyrics that I've ever heard them sing. It was much closer to what I would think is obviously the complete song.
Right.
So we've talked about how when it comes up, it's usually just them mumbling that
Mm.
like in the middle of a jam, and that's the
Goo
whole
Goo Baraba Jangle.
extent of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, cuckoo. Yeah, but they really went into it, and you could hear them laughing and having a good time. And then they went back into One More Dance, and it was off from there. Like it was like that song triggered them into this other place, and they started the teases. They teased Apology and Tubeswang. They teased They Love Each Other. They teased The Ocean and Black Dog by Led Zeppelin. They teased Smile. They teased One More Dance. They were just doing crazy stuff, and all throughout they went back into Figure It Out, busted into a huge Laurel that went into a Birdland that went into a Buying Time that was like 17
Mm,
minutes,
I
back
saw that.
into the Laurel to
I
finish
saw that.
the set. And if you thought the set was good, they come out for the encore, third night in a row, they bust out the acoustic setup. And I gotta ask that, so Jake's on his acoustic, Mike's on his stand-up bass, Donnie's got whatever he's got that's a regular piano or whatever. But then Alex is on a thing called a Cajun or a Cajon,
Mm,
spelled
mm.
Cajon. I had to look it up. It's a little box that you kind of tap and hit. It's percussion. But have you ever seen that or heard of that before yourself? Okay, good.
I think I've probably read it like in an instrument list on the back of an album somewhere in the 70s, but yeah, I haven't seen or heard it in any time in recent memory.
This is where, after being a music fan, as far back as I can remember, I'm not a musical person. I'm not a musician. I don't know a
Right.
lot about it. So I was just fascinated. And again, 3 nights in a row, they came out with this setup, with this acoustic setup. But anyway, this particular night in Iowa, the first encore was Ruben and Charisse, which I mean, you're gonna bust out JGB and acoustic. I'm gonna cry if I'm standing there, you know. But within that, there was Cassidy teases, there was Let It Rock teases, and there was a plasma tease pulling out the tray teases.
Yeah.
Finished that, went into Spanish Moon, which again was a tease fest because there was a Northern Lights in there, which they didn't even play. Jake just felt it. There was an Eleanor Rigby, Slipknot, like do 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 do. Crowd went nuts. Like it was, and everyone was pretty dialed in, you know. Ruben and Charisse, and then Stash because he just like I don't know. Jake didn't like was he you know just his he was racing or something. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
You
And
know,
then
I
go
think
ahead.
some, so in my previous world in the machine shop, there would be this common part, and it would make this part, this part, this part, and this part. And when I see them jam out songs like that, I feel like because they're so inside the actual music that they know what those common bones are, and then they can just, like you said, it can be Slipknot and Stash and this and that and everything else, and those all have either they're in the same key or they have the same backbeat or something that allows them to merge those together.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're just such consummate like virtuosos, it just flows. They can pull it off like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
know. It's just what happens in my head when I hear them play like that.
No, you're not wrong. I think, and again, just the when you're even more so when you're playing acoustic, you have to be that much more intent. I mean, you got to you really. I think again, not a musician. I don't want to say things that aren't right, but yeah. So the Ruben and Charisse and Spanish Moon were excellent choices to play acoustic. Now, the two nights before in Fort Collins and in Denver, they did the two acoustic songs, but then went back to electric to play yet one more song to finish the encore. Fort Collins, it was Burritos, and Denver got
Hmm.
a nice little Onitsuka to send us home. So
Yeah, I
that
haven't
left
heard that yet. I haven't heard
that
that
left
yet.
Fluff very happy. In fact, that Onitsuka had a narration that, if you listen to it, you'll find it's very similar to another narration that happened once that I ended up being the main part of. So,
So
um,
that Baraba Jangle thing when they played that St. Patrick's Day, which is of course we know not recorded. Uh, uh, that kind of if I wasn't already locked into them, it took me by such surprise, and it was a song that I knew. Like that song, Baraba Jangle, got me through a whole summer just a couple of years before that when it came out, and it was really cool because Donovan was a star from the '60s, right? And this was a new song, and you should hear the original, like his version of it, because it's a fucking banger.
yeah,
And when I ever heard them doing it, it just I don't know. It endeared me deeply. Um, if I wasn't already completely enamored by them, I was just fucking had stars in my eyes after that because I felt like I was the only one in the room besides them that even knew the song, and I'm
yeah.
I'm singing along with them, and everybody's like, "What the fuck?" I don't know. It was something, but yeah,
Well,
whenever they
you're
do,
gonna. I mean, the
yeah.
Iowa thing, they teased it everywhere too. You would hear
Mm.
Donnie tease it. You would hear Jake tease it. I mean, throughout the entire show, straight to the end, through the encore, you're gonna hear that come back up over and over and over. They have so much fun with it. But
I tell
what
you,
I don't want anyone to miss, what I don't want you to miss, what I don't want anyone to miss is the Tom Corn Walker from
mm,
that encore because they stayed acoustic and Donnie went full goof and had some of the most hysterical banter. It's absolutely great. And then the Tom Corn Walker itself is insane. They crush it, then they go into the wind up, then they go back into Tom Corn
mm,
Walker. Then something that is I was not expecting or even that much familiar with, Tom Corn Walker reprise got really soft, really quiet, and they were
they
still
don't do
acoustic.
that. They
And
don't
they
do
did
that.
that for 2 minutes, and then they still went back and did more regular Tom Corn Walker after the reprise, which I don't even know what that even is, but it was incredible. And so from start to finish, yeah, I mean, anyone who wants to go say that Iowa show should stand up against any other show this year, I will not argue with them. I think Colorado was the 3 nights just built, and I think that they left there feeling real good about what had just happened and rolled into Des Moines, Iowa on a Tuesday
Mm.
night. I heard 60 people. I heard 75 people. None,
Yeah,
I don't know how many were there, but I know that it was not a full room.
right. I
Coming
heard
off a
100,
run, yeah,
150. Yeah.
coming off a run like that, Tuesday night, middle of Iowa, nobody there. You could have predicted almost an insane show. You couldn't have written exactly what they would have done, but you knew that they would make people pay for not being there too in Iowa on a Tuesday night in
Right.
October. So
Can I
yeah,
just, Iowa, no offense to anybody in Iowa, but Iowa sucks. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's just like nothing but fucking antennas and flat, straight highway. Uh, the only thing good happening in Iowa is an Eggy show on a Tuesday night. Let me tell you. You know, I'm
well,
sorry,
hey,
Iowa. I'm sorry, Iowa. It's true. I've been there.
uh, uh, well, I think the reason, obviously, and this was the second time that they've played there, but I think that they kind of treated it as their first, because the first time was 3+ years ago on that tour they opened for Spafford. So it was actually the same venue, but they played three songs. Interestingly, they debuted Sweaters for Strawman there, which
Ah,
Iowa cornfield Strawman.
sure,
So,
sure.
that made sense. But I think that was obviously the fuel Donnie took for that Tom Cornwalker, being in Iowa, headlining for the first time. And he said
So,
things like, this was my family's destiny to have me stand here and do this, and it was just like, I, it's all a long way of saying how much I fucking love these guys. That's all. I just,
uh, so Sweaters is only 3 years old.
that's what I'm telling you.
That's wild.
It's a young band. I know they've been around and been playing longer than any of us really realize. And a lot of bands start small. The biggest dreams begin with starting small. They say that in Smile. But
I
I
mean,
just
wow.
they're a young band still.
Yeah, it was that and 12 Pounds of Pain that kind of got me hooked was those two songs. And so it's a good thing they had that then. I'm not sure I would have been so in love.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
I gotta tell you again, just you can tell they're having a great time out there. That is so critical to our enjoyment because
Oh well,
you know
yeah,
I
right.
don't have to explain it.
Totally.
Everybody gets it.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
no. But so the new songs though, like so what is there? 5 new songs, right?
five that they debuted. There is Whoa There,
Yeah.
there is Paper Bed, Looking at Life, Thorns, and then the last one, which they debuted in St. Louis, is called Beaming.
Okay. So Whoa There is really like the only one that comes to mind that's up tempo, right? The other ones seem kind of like the Shallow Rivers vein of um, mood and speed, right? Aren't they kind of
I think Beaming might be, but we only got that small clip that they posted, so I'm waiting till the St. Louis show goes up and I can hear it in its entirety.
right?
And I just want to say how glad I am that none of these songs are on an album because we get to hear them right away. They get to stay in the Nugs recordings, and I won't say anything more about that. But
Right.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, there could be more to come. There could be more to come for sure. There's still we haven't seen a set list now for the last two nights. I know they've been doing a lot of late stuff. They did Halloween like in the middle of the night,
Mm.
and then last night a sold out show in I want to say Alabama. So I don't know. Maybe they debuted some more stuff already. For all we know, there's still 4 or 5, I think, shows left on this tour after tonight. So, and I'm really, really hopeful. Fingers crossed. Um, if I
Have you
have
heard?
to, I
Have
might
you heard
whisper in
any?
their ear that Chicago should finish with one more of those acoustic encores. That's what I want for you.
Um, have you heard any of the opening band there, the Color Green?
So we took them in Buena Vista the first night, listened to a good part of their set, and I didn't really get too moved one way or the other. And then just in an attempt because it was such a short trip to make the most out of our time in Colorado, yeah, we skipped the opener the next two nights just to maximize how much time we had to just be bumming around elsewhere because it's nice when you got a whole day and Eggy's not starting until 9:15, and I mean I'm not gonna lie, and this is a great time for a houseplant plug because I will not be doing that in Chicago, obviously, and I don't recommend anybody do that in Louisville or
Yeah,
Chicago. And I
Don't
will be
sleep.
telling Green Eggs and Fam, if you are going, you need to be there early and listen to that over
Oh,
there because you'll thank
I
yourself
mean,
later.
yeah, I'm driving 2 straight days to get there for this one. And if I could get to Louisville first, it's the same distance from my house to Louisville as it is from my house to Chicago.
Mhm.
But with 3 grandkids, uh, I can't just ghost them. See what I did there on Halloween. So they're going to be trick or treating from our house, the home base. We got a lot of houses around us, so uh, we're going to hop in the truck right after they're done with their little leave with their little bags of candy, and the truck will be loaded, and away we go. But yeah, don't sleep on this one, man. The even if the two bands never even talk to each other, the two separate entities jamming in one night is going to be epic, 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 epic. And I can only imagine if either one of any of the talented group from the other group comes out and goes on stage with either someone from Eggy comes out to Houseplant or vice versa. I don't know if I'll be able to drive home. I might have to have Sissy drive because I'll be in the front seat going.
I'll be right
Yeah.
there with you, man. I know it's going to be something else, and I know that we can't do both, but doing one is going to be worth it. And again, it's CJ's birthday, it's Chris's birthday. It's going to be a nice crew of us with you guys, and I just didn't want you to have to wait all the way till Thanksgiving. I knew it's been a long, hard stretch for you, and I needed to get you back out
Well,
there, and this was the perfect opportunity.
I will say that we went to 48-48 at your urging, and
Hmm.
definitely don't regret that. And so, you didn't have to push me too far to get me to come to this one. It was just a matter of, um, I have to shut down Studio 2A here for the weekend to come out there. So, you know,
Understood, understood. Well, sacrifices have to be made to get
that's
where we have
right.
to go.
Right. We
But
need show
so
material, damn it. Yeah. So,
yeah, so well, good. We're cooking, man. We got the yeah. So the tour, Colorado. I mean, I could talk for days about Colorado. It's just one of the greatest places on the planet, and to see Eggy there. I know you've been there a couple times for them already. I had not made it yet, and considering I lived there for 10 years in the 90s, it's always nice to get back. Buena Vista, let me just say for a minute, is one of the coolest places I've seen them at yet. The venue was kind of this boutique hotel that backed to a river with every view you could ever want in Colorado because Buena Vista means good view.
sure.
And the band was just enthralled with it. They took a swim in the river. There's a cool video. Someone used a drone or something, and they got footage of Donnie and his brother came out and surprised him. So that was amazing. I think
Yeah.
that added to the energy of the run a little bit.
Yeah.
So
That
yeah,
was, I knew that was happening. That was a hard secret to keep. Uh,
oh, okay. Well, I didn't even know, but it was awesome to see him out there. Ben had a blast, and it was fun to hang with him a little bit each night, actually, including the last night in Denver when he donned an entire Bucky's mascot outfit. He was running around in a full Bucky's outfit. Um, Gotta love that kid. And then also, what was really nice is that Jake's wife Katie did come out for Denver and Fort Collins as
Excellent.
well. It was so great to see her. It made Mike's birthday even better. They donned hats. Everybody, half the people in the crowd were wearing birthday hats, and people kept asking me because I had one on. They're like, "Whose birthday is it?" Oh, it's the judge. Don't you know? Don't you know? Well, apparently we have failed to educate everyone, but no longer. Now we have
Right.
educated everyone on who the
Well,
judge is. So
the green eggs just has to keep growing.
yeah,
Nobody knows anything if they're not in there. Or I
that is
shouldn't say
true.
nobody knows anything, but people aren't aware of the community unless they're plugged into that. you
Right,
know.
right.
And I mean, that's why me and you are sitting here. If it
Mhm.
wasn't for green eggs, right, we would not have been able to develop the friendship that we have. So
100%.
Facebook, social media does have some redeeming value, from time to time.
Hey,
But
hey, listen, I always bashed it, but at the same time, I had a very heavy heart when Fish Twitter kind of fell apart and when everybody went their own ways. And I mean, as much as there can be toxic, chaotic stuff on there, if you're smart and you know how to curate things and know, when to block and mute, whatever it is, you can give yourself like a special experience on there. And we used to,
yeah,
I mean, I saw marriages come out of it that,
right.
people, it just, so. you take the good with the bad, I guess, and that's something you kind of
I'm
always have to
still, I'm
keep in
still not
mind,
a
right?
blocker. I still have never blocked anybody.
That's
I
awesome. That's
don't even know
crazy.
how. Just whatever, man. Just try to
That's
be
crazy.
impervious.
I do want to clear up one more thing with Colorado. A little message to everybody out in Colorado. This is probably going to get me in trouble, but when you go to a show, shut up.
Shut
Like,
up.
shut up. Like, I don't know. Like, poor Mike. He was people yakking in his ear all night, and he was even wearing a shirt that, along the lines of, I'm sorry, is the band interrupting your conversation or something like that. But, I just want to say, I could see both sides of it. I'm going to argue. I paid to be here. I want to hear the music. They can argue. I paid to be here and I can do whatever I want. I can talk. And I
Well,
can't really tell them that they're wrong. But first of
I,
all, why do you want to scream over music? Second of all, how do you not realize you're bothering the people around? I mean, it's just like walk to the back or go the fuck
well,
outside.
you're
Sorry,
you're you're presuming a baseline of sobriety, right? And so if someone is on Molly or
silly
fucking
me.
right, like you're right, a sober person such as us that might not be, imbibing so much has those considerations, but someone that's there on a love drug just wants to talk to their friend, and so that's
Well,
what
I
I that's
posted on I posted about it on Green Eggs and Fam, and a lot of people reassured me that it was not just us that night, but every night in Denver. It's a thing. People go out just to party. They don't care
yeah.
about the music. It's not that they don't care about the music, but they're there for the fun and the party. It's fine.
It
I'm
was like
more.
that. Yep, Nashville. The basement in Nashville comes to mind as one that I will never forget. The level of chompiness, and that's where I met. And I never saw anybody turn around and give a death stare to someone else and tell them to shut the fuck up, like I did that night. He turned around to this girl that was standing behind us, and he just looked at her like if looks could kill, I would just take you off the planet right now. And I know it's not like that, but the look was just wicked intimidating. And he's like, "Will you just shut the fuck up?" It was just like, oh,
Well, he probably gave a few people that look that Saturday night because he was in Fort Collins in Denver, and so I have a feeling he was probably staring a few people down. But I'll
it's
tell you what,
yeah,
there was more than a few times that Eggy shut him up with their playing. I mean, the jam got so good that you
yeah,
realized everyone's like, "Oh crap!" and they're
right,
like, "Okay."
right.
So, but then again, the acoustic encore that night was "Way of the Stone," which was my first time hearing it, and then
Hmm.
"Southern Cross," which is one of my favorites ever to hear it acoustic. And the crowd was just I'm
Well,
like, they're acoustic. You really got to shut the fuck up now. Like,
you
are
got
you
to
kidding
figure.
me?
Yeah, but you know what? What I'm seeing is like, and I think someone on Facebook might have even commented on this, that as they become more popular and as they become the band that you should be seen at,
It's gonna happen.
because right, it's gonna be a more less not hardcore but less attentive fans, but you're right, they should move geographically to like the back. you know like they ought to make like a little chomper section in every club for the people that just want to chat.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, my hearing at my age is starting to go. Couldn't possibly
what
be all the loud concerts that I've ever gone to.
what
And so I'll be at a show and I can't hear what you're saying when the music's not playing yet. And it's funny because our friend Jesse loves to talk to me during the show. Not like
Hmm.
long drawn out conversations, but he wants to tell me something. I can't hear a damn thing. I just smile and nod. I hope
he
he's
does
listening because Jesse, I don't ever hear a damn thing you say to me at a show.
he doesn't say it loud enough. He talks in his normal, right? He'll talk to you in his normal voice. Am I wrong? Yeah, and
So at
you'll
least
be
he's
like,
not bothering anybody because he's not shouting over the music. But I can't.
you know, he'll
Love you,
literally be
Jesse.
like,
Love you,
yeah,
buddy.
it's almost like he'll lower his voice a notch and you're trying to read his lips, totally. But right,
So,
respectfully so, yeah, I don't know. That's too
well,
funny.
it is. So we're good. We're cruising. New material, Colorado, Iowa, all the shows on this run. Probably all the ones that left are going to be crazy. Then there was
Yeah,
some more dates. There's been more dates announced since we sat down last time.
yeah,
First of all, did you
nothing
see
that's
that whole
gonna really,
Jake Hawaii thing?
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's something else. I mean, talk about a pinnacle of achievement. Do you think the other guys are going to go?
I don't know. That's a good question. I hope they do. I would love it that they could all be there for him, you know. But I don't know.
I mean, I would think that they kind of like it's almost like obligatory, you know.
I hope so.
Support your bandmate, experience it. Who knows? Maybe they have work to do while he's gone or whatever. But also, just in case, hey, somebody's plane might be late or somebody might fall ill. You might need a stand-in bassist or a keyboardist. You know what I'm saying, right? So, like, you know, uh, but what a compliment for Jake, and I almost feel like they picked the other guitarist just so like they could only just have Jake and be good, you know. There's just they're spreading the love around. They can't just pick one.
Well, the Grateful Dead had two.
Yeah, right. So I wonder how that's going to play out because Daniel Donato would be the other guitarist, right? And now, are they competing for lead? Is somebody actually going to play rhythm? And does Kreutzmann's act do Dead songs? Like I'm ignorant to what he's got going on lately, So be really interested to see what kind of song selections you get out of that.
Yeah, we're gonna
And
find out soon. Yeah.
if it's got the Bob Ware kind of half beat slower than ever before kind of overlay to it, you know, how do you like them apples?
I asked someone. I said, "Who do you think is gonna be doing the lead the most?" I said, "Jake or Donato," and they said Donato, and I said, "I don't
Ah,
like you anymore." So,
ooh.
yeah, exactly. That's what I said. But actually, you made me realize maybe if they traded off, that would be pretty awesome too.
Yeah,
I
I,
don't want
I,
to
I
deny his talent or at all. I just, in my mind, Jake is Jerry-like at times already, and you and I have
very
talked about that.
fitting.
So in my mind, it's a no-brainer. If someone says to you, says to me, who do you think's going to play Jerry? It's Jake. But I don't know. Again, not a musician. Don't know. That's what I'm telling you guys. Maybe who knows?
He's already got the beard. I mean, right? Or he did. So let that grow out again.
And
But
then
yeah,
so
that's
that's
interesting.
three
I
days
think
in Hawaii. I think is that what it is? 3 days
three
in Hawaii.
shows, right? Yeah, three
Yeah.
shows. So they
Shit.
have 3 weeks, I think, from the time that they leave Chicago to when they start. I think it's 23 days or something between.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere, didn't it? It was just like a month ahead of time.
You got to figure that. Yeah, I mean, they like imagine the logistics behind all that. And does Kreutzmann like pay for their flights and stuff, or is it? So my daughter was able to cheer at the Pro Bowl in Hawaii in 2005, and
Oh
because
wow.
she was a high school cheerleader, and she went through all these levels of competition to get selected and everything, but we had to pay the way. The NFL didn't pay
Right.
for anything except the hotel room. We had to pay for the planes and the food and everything else. And so, long story short, we sold dollar candy bars for like 6 months door to door to raise enough money to send her. Literally, we drove around with a trunk full of hundreds of candy bars. But so I wonder if like the band, is footing, what. None of it matters to me personally, but I'm just curious as to what are the limitations to them getting there.
You just gave me a great idea. I mean, I can already see it. It's Mike and Donnie out selling chocolate, saying, "Please help us get to Hawaii with our friend."
Right? They want some plane tickets, yeah, right? Selling signed drumsticks and stuff, right?
Well,
Uh,
unfortunately, I know that I won't be making that run, and I doubt you will be either. But it's not. He's got to come back and turn right around and go to Port Chester for those Cap Theater shows. I can't wait, man.
I have an irrational objection to flying, and
Yeah,
so I won't. If I could drive to Hawaii, I'd maybe take a month, but you know, like no, no, uh, I'll miss them there, and when they go to Europe and whatever else they end up doing off
right.
continent,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
yeah,
with
not
you.
leaving,
I'm with you.
not
We'll
leaving
be
here.
here holding it down. We'll be here holding it down.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And then, so are you in for all four of the New Year's run? Speaking of other dates that were
Absolutely.
announced,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
All right.
So it's what is it? It's Buffalo. Is it Buffalo, Harrisburg, Levon Helms, and then Boston, right?
Correct, but over 5 days. So they're
Yeah.
starting the 27th, and there's an extra day off, which is perfect.
Right. And the day off is right before the Boston show, right?
Yep.
So we
Yep.
get to come home for a night. We'll be home. We'll be operating from home for the New Year's Eve show because
How
we're
far from
only,
the venue is home for you then?
I mean, without traffic, 35 minutes.
Oh, how nice is that?
Yeah, it's nice. 40
Nice.
minutes, and it's not even like we're on the pike for maybe 10 minutes, and then we get off onto this like once what they call 117. It's just a 2-lane yellow line road the whole way home. New Year's Eve. So quick story. New Year's Eve in Boston for Fish in '94, I think it was, when they came out in the big hot dog. That night was snowing, and on the way home, we were almost home. We were on that road I'm talking about, and there was like 3 inches of slush on the road, and another car came across the yellow line, and we luckily pulled off into a snowbank and didn't get hit, but they went right where we were and then spun out. And ever since then, we're like, you know what? We're not really going to go out on New Year's Eve because we're literally like, we were fucking ghosts after that. We were so scared because it was that close. But so this will be an interesting New Year's Eve for us to be out again. It's been a long time. I mean,
Well, you
we've
don't have
gone
to go
out.
very far at least, so that's
Yeah,
nice.
right, right. But man, Massachusetts is the Wild West up here when it comes to the roads. Let me tell you. You think driving's bad where you are? Oh my goodness. So
I did actually the '96 Fish New Year's show at Fleet Center
oh yeah,
in Boston. So 2 nights
nice,
there. That was pretty
nice.
fantastic. One of my best fish experiences ever, actually. But yeah, so that was the last time that I believe I was even in Boston, though. So 30 years
Oh,
now,
oh,
or almost. What are
oh.
you talking about? When was I in Boston?
We
My
have an off
producer's telling me apparently it's not been that long since I was in Boston.
right, off-screen producer is like, no, 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 no.
What have I forgotten? She's right. She's right. I was in Boston last year, so strike all that.
you know, short-term memory loss is a thing. Uh, as
Recency bias. There are no other shows since last year's show.
that
Oh my goodness, that was
is
funny.
funny. That is
That was
funny.
funny.
So, you guys, how far from Chicago are you?
5 to 6 hours.
Oh yeah, and you
And
don't
that
stop
we can
much.
manage day of. We can
Yeah,
manage day of
yeah,
that much.
that's doable day of for sure. 14 hours with unforeseeables is like you better. I got to leave the day before. You know, and so opportunity wise, we'll just leave even a little bit earlier and take a few hours off the edge of the big drive. So
It's going to be a
yeah,
good time, and I think we'll all be there. Maybe we can all sit down and have dinner somewhere right around the
let's
venue
that's my
before.
hope. And we'll be there a day early to kind of scout things out. It looks like the hotel has a pretty good complex at the bottom level. Might even be
Oh,
like a half a mall attached to the back of or something. If you look at it from Google Earth, it looks like a pretty big building. So,
excellent.
few restaurants around, yeah. And like I said, we'll get there early and scout it out and do what we usually do, kind of try to get a pre-show pizza party going or something somewhere,
For
and or
sure.
just the four of us somewhere.
For
Um,
sure.
And so
And
what
then
time you think, was it houseplant at 7 maybe or 8?
I
And
haven't even
then
looked. Every show so far, the opener's been 8, and the band's been later. But maybe House Band will play a little longer than a typical opener. I don't know yet.
yeah, boy, we're
You know,
hopeful, aren't we?
boy, we're hopeful. Can they just change it to a split
Right.
bill right now, and then
Maybe
we'll
just
just.
message Jake and say, listen, can you guys just, like let them go a little longer? you know. At least the hotel's like wicked close. It's literally, I think, across the street and like
Yeah.
25 feet diagonal. So we'll be doing good there. You
I like
know.
how you said hunker down. We're just gonna get to Chicago, hunker down, go to the show, and then get back, stay safe, and then go home.
Yeah, like I've been in a lot of big cities with Eggy now, and I'm usually a person that stays pretty close to home, except so Eggy's gotten me out of my shell. See what I did there? That's 2 in 1 show, folks. And but I haven't been felt like scared. in any city except I think Indianapolis was a little spooky, and I feel like Chicago is going to be just it's so big. Brooklyn was nothing. It was a little bit tense, but it wasn't like in New York, like like downtown giant skyscrapers and all that. It wasn't. I felt like it wasn't the same. It was like being in a local city around me. It wasn't a giant. Didn't feel as big, and I haven't been to
Northeasterners do not feel out of place in New York City because it's all about the
Right.
same anywhere you go around there.
Yeah, they're
Tri-state,
just
quad state,
yeah,
whatever you want to call
they're
it,
just a
it's
little
all the
more
fucking
advanced than
same.
us. Yeah.
Chicago is Midwest intense. There's no question about it. But
Right.
Jesse swears this area is not an issue, and
Yeah,
it's
and
it's
so I mean, there's 4 million people live there, right? And so not everybody's getting attacked, but if you you can be a little intimidated by just the size of a place sometimes, and so uh, I'll be I'll be just one little pollywog in the pond.
I don't like this because the quality of transference. I'm already scared of you. So if you're scared of something and I'm scared of you, then I'm super scared of whatever you're scared of. So I don't even know what to think.
Well, that's why we're staying in the same hotel, very close to the venue, and it's kind of like an all-inclusive place. There's no need to venture out. There's no need to venture out.
Now I'm excited because we got back a week ago today from Colorado late at night, and it was a long day getting back. But that was a big trip for us, and it was a great trip. It was a perfect trip, and we had a great time. But after that, usually you want to recover for a little while. But I was maybe midway through last week, and I was just still so amped up with the Eggy energy that I was like, I'm actually ready for next Saturday already. Like let's
And
go to
so
Chicago. I'm ready to do this.
right, you flew, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And now I'm not asking for myself, but flying from a state that allows it to a state that allows it, you can fly with party materials, can't you?
Yes, and I did both directions
Right.
because they really don't care. I one of the reasons that I hate flying is TSA, and the few times that I've done it in the last year or two, I look it up every time. It doesn't change. There's a whole thing that says medical marijuana is fine. I have a medical card, so that even gives me an extra level of protection when I travel, I think. But the truth of the matter is, they say we don't care. TSA is not looking for that, and they really,
Correct.
really, truly aren't.
Right.
And I don't know what
But
they are looking for, but it's not that. And
they
so,
say that but they say that if you're landing in a banned state, that they have the obligation to turn you into local authorities, right?
I
So
say, yeah, don't fly with it to banned states because
right.
what the TSA site goes on to say is that if there were to be an issue, and that means them going any further than just maybe confiscating or something, is that they can refer it to the local law enforcement. So it doesn't even
Right.
mean they have to, but they can. And if you're in a legal state, that would suck ass. So I just don't go to those states. And people
Right.
look at me and shake their head and go, "Really, you miss out on a lot of good shows." And I go, "Yes, yes, I do, unfortunately." But I'll go a lot of places, and when it's too far to drive and it makes sense to fly, I'll do that. But I'm not about to go see a show in Alabama right now, and I'm not about to go see a show in Arkansas right now. And I know that I
Kentucky.
miss out, and I accept that because I'm not getting fucked for that. It's not worth it. It's just not. So,
It's
and you can go
yeah.
so many places where they don't say boo to you because it's not a
Right.
crime anymore. When it's not a
Right.
crime, no one even has to look at it as anything wrong. I learned that
Correct.
lesson when I went to Amsterdam after I graduated high school and saw people walking around not batting an eye because there was no crimes being committed.
Right.
They made us think it's a crime. Oh my God. So yeah, but to kind of go back to what you originally said, it was very, very nice to be leaving a rec state, going to a rec state, took my
Mm.
level of worry way, way down. If you're a person that struggles with paranoia or gets super nervous, just don't do it. Just don't
Yeah.
travel with it.
Right.
That's my recommendation. But
Right.
I mean,
You can
if
get
you
it
go to a
when
legal state, especially, just land and go buy it, if you're
yeah.
that
Yeah.
worried. But
Yeah.
I mean, flew out with pens, and then we actually, because we're crazy, we bought some paraphernalia out there to use and flew back with that and had some leftover concentrate, just tossed it in the luggage. And,
Nice.
I mean, years ago, my trip when we went out for our honeymoon 10 years ago I felt like it was different then. It wasn't as laid back still, but I put like 2 ounces of flour in our luggage, in the dirty clothes, in the underwear. I'm like, you want to dig through our underwear to take my weed? Fine, but I don't think you're going to do it. And it got home. I mean, it was never a question really. So
Right.
really people have been flying with it for years, crotching it, socking it, but it's not, you don't even have to do that anymore, honestly. I would say just put your bong in your bag and go on a plane.
I love it.
Well,
Last time I
and then you
did,
have the difference in venues too, and this kills me. And I got a good story from this last tour. Someone told me when they were in Santa Fe, which is New Mexico, which is a recreational state, that they were getting ready to go into the venue, and the security was like, "Okay, well, no THC whatsoever allowed inside this venue," and they went down a list of other stuff that you couldn't have. And my buddy thought they just had to say it, maybe, because you have to read the list of rules. It's part of the job or whatever. So he dropped his vape pen in the thing when he went through the security. And they're like, "What did we just tell you?" He's like, "I thought you were kidding." And they're like, "Really not." And so like they made him throw his vape pen away to go in. And it's like I don't even get that. He gave me like a couple other examples of how the place was not the friendliest
they did
venue.
that
And
at
I
Stone Pony.
and I want to
That,
feel welcome when I go to a venue myself. But nonetheless, the next night in Buena Vista, you could have walked in with your 6 foot glass bong. They didn't. They just waved at us and said, "Have a great time tonight." The 100 of us that were even there, it was again a
yeah,
very small night,
right.
and it got more each night. Fort Collins was a little wand pat down. Okay, you're good. And Denver had a metal detector. So a lot of it depends where you are, obviously, what you're trying to, But
I
I don't
think
know.
right. Depends on if it's like a corporate venue, like if it's a Live Nation gig or there's big money behind it, they're gonna be wanding you. I've been into more shows where, uh, like in a free state like Vermont, where I could have had a gun on me, no problem. No one would even cared. Never mind,
Yeah,
checked me. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And that's been true for a ton of places I've been with Eggy. But then you get into Indianapolis or the Stone Pony in New Jersey, but the Wonder Bar doesn't care.
Nah,
150 feet up the street, but the Stone Pony was like, empty your pockets, and they took somebody's vape shit right in front of me. I got mine through because it was in the camera bag. They didn't even see it,
I
you
just
know.
don't get it, man. I just don't get it. I don't. But
Some
I
people
may
don't let
never.
anybody have a good time.
I don't know,
Fucking
man. I do want to shout out because I know that you are not on Instagram, but I am on Instagram. And I keep telling everybody that there's a lot of great Eggy content on Instagram that you're not getting on other sites. And everybody goes, yeah, 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 whatever. But because I am on there, and I know that plenty of other people are, there were 3 new Eggy accounts that popped up in the last couple weeks on there, all of which seem to be semi-official at least. There's things being posted that are being taken very, very close to the ban. I think they're all different. One is called Fans of Eggy, and I found out about that one in Buena Vista when the guy at the merch table said, "Hey, we're doing a website or an account with profiling an Eggy fan from each show. You want to be in it?" And I was like, "Of course I do." So I was actually the second fan on the Fans of Eggy profile. So he had told me about that one, and then I stumbled across one that's called Eggy HQ. It says Eggy updates. It says it's a musician band. They posted some really cool like behind the scenes on tour video stuff there. And then there's another one that's Eggy on stage. It just seems to be clips of video. Some of them maybe that people like you and I took. Maybe some of
Hmm.
them are like what the band took. So Eggy on stage, Eggy on cue, and Fans of Eggy are 3 cool new fan accounts that you can find over on Instagram. Where again, ton of fun Eggy stuff's going on. That's not to say forget about Green Eggs and Fam on Facebook. The only reason I'm on Facebook, which is probably the best Eggy group to be in if you're going to be in any of them. So. Uh, there, that's my plug.